I am scared and hurt, but I don't feel I can argue, nor do I want to, because I've always felt like a burden on him throughout our whole marriage and often wondered why he hasn't divorced me. Mostly BC of our religious beliefs. Now backstory on my husband as best as I can give. He is the oldest of 5. He grew up poor, had to haul water, only generator electric, and only if they had enough money for gas. His parents leaned on him for support. His younger brothers leaned on him for support. He was basically parentified and became the male father figure to his brothers. A few years after we got married, and this is the part where his unresolved resentment to me comes in, his great-grandmother got ill and he was made her power of attorney. Not his great-grandmother's son, whose second house she was living in. Not her daughter across the state. Not my husband's mom or dad. My husband, 22 or 23 at the time. Semi-new husband and new father of 2. He had to do everything. Negotiate everything. She eventually went into hospice care and died of cancer. And where was I in all of this? Honestly, I don't remember. I just remember being a new mom and trying to visit the greats almost every day so they could spend time with the great-great-grandbabies. Doing dishes for them. Cleaning the bathrooms and mopping floors. Not every day, but when it looked like it needed it. And making sure their 3 thermoses were always full of fresh coffee LOL. Emotional. My husband didn't talk to me about how hard it was on him. I'm not a super emotionally aware or mature person. If you don't tell me, I don't know. I can't read minds. But according to my husband, a good deckhand should. Maybe I should have, and could have tried harder to ask him how he was. But when you've done that before and all you get is one-word answers or sighs of annoyance, you tend to stop trying. My husband now does construction, start to finish, as a general contractor. He fishes in Alaska in the summer, and just recently bought a large industrial property for meat store and distribution. He tell me he wants me to be a part of his business, any part of it. And it ends like that. I don't know what he wants, and he won't tell me, but he thinks and feels like I should just know or figure it out. Back to the separation. Part of this is to vent and let myself think and feel. I realize, as I get to the end, that just accepted what he said right away and didn't let myself feel.
I'm scared. I'm hurt.
But I'm also excited and don't totally hate the idea of living alone to figure myself out. I guess I'm asked what I should do. Should I write a document up about all the details our separation would look like? Kids, money, etc. And then, I haven't had a job in a year. I have no degree. What do I do? And what about taxes? God, that scares me so much too. Any advice or help would be much appreciated. Thank you. My husband, M30, wants a separation from me, F30, so I can grow up. This is my first post, so apologies if I mess this up or ramble. I just, forgive the wall of text. Also, I writing this using the mobile app. I am not seeking advice to divorce, period. TLDR, my husband, 30M, want to separate and have me, 30F, move away for a year so I can learn to be independent, married roughly 10 years, 2 kids. I just want to know what I should do. Should I write up a document about the separation agreement? I haven't had a job in years as a SOM. Where would I even start? My husband, 30M, and I, 30F, have been married for roughly 10 years, 2 kids under 10. We meet in a tiny Christian college in Alaska and got married when we were 19 a year after we met. Backstory for me. I was raised, I guess, middle class. My dad worked as a commercial fisherman. I had loving parents who did the best with who they were and what they had, loved them dearly. I developed depression around middle school and for the longest time figured I would be dead by 18 due to sucked. My mom did her best to keep me moving along, but I was very apathetic. I worked a couple jobs at 16 to 18, but wasn't sure what to do with my life. I never did taxes, let alone know my social security hashtag. I simply gave my mom my checks and she put it in my bank that I didn't even know how to check, and I would just spend my tips mostly on snacks. After I graduated and had no direction, my brother told me to tag along with him to his college. I lived in the dorm for a year, married my husband, and for a year lived with him and my brother and his new wife. It was interesting. I went from teen with no adult skills to married with no adult skills. My husband did the taxes and made the money. I tried to get a job here and there, but had nothing consistent. Then his parents' house burned down in a fire, and we packed up and moved to his hometown on Washington State. We lived in a tent for several months, Until me husband threw up a quick, unfinished shack. We lived in that for a year.
No free.
Pipes would freeze in winter. Melted snow to flush toilet. Then I got pregnant, after your father-in-law asking, "Are you pregnant yet?" Almost every time you see him wears you down. I became depressed again after giving birth and still living in the shack. I was mostly alone, just me and baby. No car, no friends, and we live 30-minute drive from town, in the mountains. Skipping ahead, I have 2 babies now. We live in a interesting house. Luckily there is running water, hot water, solar/generator electricity, and the pipes still freeze every winter, though each year we have got them to thaw sooner. I am not a good mom or housewife, I will admit. I tend to be lazy and unmotivated. I have been homeschooling my kids the last 3 years with the help of my father-in-law, and it was awesome to watch my kids learn to read, write, and understand math, and know that I was the one who did that. The house tends to be a mess BC. I let the kids run wild and don't feel the energy to constantly pick up. Lately I've gotten better at keeping up with dishes. Before I would leave them in the sink for weeks and wash only a few that I needed. I am a pro at keeping up and organizing laundry, unless I get into a funk and fall behind for a week. My husband says I don't support him. I think he resents me for my laziness. He says he wants a separation. I would not have the kids, so I can learn to grow up and be independent. He wants me to go back to Alaska for a year or so and basically live separate lives, taxes and finances. He says he doesn't want a divorce, but that I am not contributing enough to marriage, and he thinks this is the only option to push me out of my comfort zone and grow up.